Set out on the path to holistic learning and realize your UPSC goals. Benefit from consistent and tailored assistance, have your questions addressed promptly, and ensure your preparation remains on track with unwavering learner aid. To empower aspirants in reaching their UPSC goals, Vision IAS Delhi presents the GS Foundation course. The course highlights include holistic current affairs coverage, continuous mentoring and support system, comprehensive syllabus coverage, tech-enabled classroom and services. Enroll in the Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course. Batches starting 9th February, 1 p.m., 23rd February, 9 a.m., 28th February, 5 p.m. Start on the path to success in the UPSC Civil Services examination today. Dear students, as you embark on the UPSC journey, you encounter not only a vast syllabus and evolving patterns, but also the challenges of time management, retaining a massive amount of information, and dealing with the unpredictability of the prelims. Thus, success in prelims requires more than hard work, it demands a well-crafted, strategic approach tailored to overcome these specific hurdles. In this scenario, specialized mock tests become your strategic tool. It not only aids in holistic revision of the syllabus but also helps you develop problem-solving skills, navigating exam uncertainties, aids in overcoming exam stress and anxiety, and promotes effective time and resource management. These are your gateway to mastering the complexities of the UPSC prelims, providing the confidence and the competitive edge you need. Realizing this significance, and with a mission to help students achieve excellence in their effort, Vision IAS has launched its much-celebrated All India GS Prelims Test Series Mentoring Program 2025. Building on the significant role of mock tests in UPSC preparation, we present our carefully designed 35 mock tests. This includes 8 fundamental tests to strengthen your basic concepts, 17 applied tests to enhance your knowledge application, and 10 full-length tests to ensure you are completely exam-ready. Alongside these tests, benefit from our personalized mentorship. With our experienced mentors, get precise preparation inputs to refine your preparation strategy and maximize your potential. Join us for live online-offline classroom test discussions and in-depth post-test analysis for every test. These are crucial for understanding your performance and improving consistently. For each test, we provide answer keys and comprehensive explanations, ensuring you have a clear understanding of every concept and question. Make the most of your revision time with our quick revision module, QRM. Designed for efficiency and smart preparation, it will help you focus on key concepts and areas for improvement. Our test series schedule is thoughtfully designed and flexible, catering to your unique preparation needs and learning pace. Experience our innovative assessment system. Track your progress with our trademarked innovative assessment system that also provides you with an all-India rankings, giving you a realistic view of your standing among aspirants nationwide. Take the first step towards your UPSC success with the Vision IAS All India General Studies Prelims Test Series and Mentoring Program 2025. Registration open. Ready to begin? Register now at our website. For further any queries, reach out to us at or enquiry@visionias.in. We're here to assist you on your journey to success.
Good evening, class. Effective strategy for next 4 months. Why is it funny? लग नहीं रहा एग्जाम दोगे? Yeah, it is too late to form a strategy. What is it? So we'll go subject by subject wise. I'll be teaching or I'll be talking about economics and IR. What exactly is the expectation from this exam, especially economics and the international relations part? Because the pattern of the exam has been changing in the last 2 to 3 years. What has happened last year, there was slight change, the signal of what was given 1 year before. So understanding the first pattern and then preparing a strategy. We can't have the other way around, that we have a strategy and then we'll try to some way fit into what the exam is. So the first thing which we have to do here is understand what exactly the exam is asking. So expectation from the exam is what has to be cleared first. If that is not set right, you form any strategy, it's not going to work. Then after the exam, you will only find people to blame. कि इनकी वजह से नहीं आया, इस book से नहीं आया, उस book से नहीं आया. So the first thing which you have to do here is set the expectations right, that what the exam is about and how over the years the exam cycle has changed, and if the exam cycle, the type of questions or topics, if they have evolved, how should we evolve our strategy accordingly? Because this is the most important thing. You can't say that this is the one book which I am reading and whatever the question is, isi book se hoga. That is not going to happen. So you can't have the source first and then you have a strategy. The first thing that has to start before the source is what the expectation from the exam is. So the framework which we follow here, first of all, what the expectation from the exam is. Has the exam changed in the last 2 years? How is it has changed? Kya badla hai? More tough. When is it not tough? Pattern of the question. How is it changed? Pattern? Options. Options is very clear कि options change हो गए. Anything else? What do you mean by anatomy of the topic? Budget. Okay. Anything else? Option change हुआ, उसके अलावा क्या change हुआ है? CSAT has become more technical. Okay. In-depth analysis. So everybody agrees here that the pattern has changed. See, if you have to ask questions from one topic and you don't repeat the question, then automatically simpler dimensions of the topic are already over. 2012-11, when we changed the pattern, UPSC changed the pattern. It is asking questions from certain topics. The simpler things have already been exhausted in those 5 to 7 years. And if I have to keep the topic same, either I can increase the scope of coverage of the topic, or I can make the options difficult. Because the topics I cannot change. The moment I change the topics, the whole exam becomes vague. Because if you don't know what you're preparing for, it's a blind luck for everyone. So if I have to keep the same topic, either I increase the scope of the topic, what question I'm asking, or I change the options, I make the options more difficult. These are the only two things which UPSC can do, because the easier things they've already exhausted from 2011 to say 2016-17. सब कुछ करके देख लिया, पूछ लिया what is current account deficit, what is capital account, what is fiscal deficit, everything has been exhausted. So now I have to go one step ahead of fiscal deficit, because I can't move away from fiscal deficit. The moment I move away from fiscal deficit, things become vague for the aspirants who are preparing. So वो vagueness होगी, तो the people who are preparing the exam, they lose credibility, the exam loses credibility. And year on year, if you start losing credibility, तो एक ऐसा time आएगा, then the exam itself is not at all relevant. So the first thing which we are doing here is, we first had to know what exactly is the expectation which we have from the exam. The expectation, what we mean here is, what are the topics that have to be covered? What is the scope of this topic? And what is the type of question that is coming from this scope? So first, whenever you prepare a strategy in next 4 months, what you have to do, you have to be clear on this aspect. Until and unless you are clear on this aspect, you cannot take another step, because you are moving blindly कि करना क्या है. Then it is the whole world, whatever question it comes, कुछ भी आ सकता है UPSC में. First, draw the domain, what exactly is the topic, what is the scope of the topic, and what is the type of question. I'll draw this domain for both economics and international relations. How exactly, what topics are being asked, what is the scope of that topic, and what type of questions are being asked. This topic, scope, and also type, this comes from a careful analysis of the previous year question. Without this, you can't move ahead because you don't know what you're preparing for. Until and unless for every subject, you have a clear understanding what topic to be read and how much to be read, you cannot proceed further. You cannot say that economics, tell me one book and I'll prepare. First, you need to know what the question is, what has to be read from particular book. Anyhow, it is not related to one book which you are reading. तो कुछ ऐसा तो नहीं है कि source की आप limitation लगा लोगे. Yes, to certain extent you can do that, but it will not be 100%. What has to be covered 100% is this and this. No matter what source you are picking up, no matter how many sources you have to go through, you have to pick this. Once this is done, this is your drawing the source. Again, this is not extensive, which you can do. You can cover 60, 70, 80% of the exam. For certain subjects, it can go up to 90%. So in certain subjects, it can go up to 50 to 60%, which the source will help. The source is the limitation which you have to put because you can't read everything. Anyhow, prelims is a competitive exam, cutoff clear karni hai, marks don't add. So you don't have to score 150. There's no absolute which you are scoring here. What you have to do is you have to clear the cutoff. So somewhere around 60 to 70% is what the source is going to cover. Rest, the information you get from the source is going to help you solve the questions. So the first expectation that sets right is that source is not going to help us. Agar ek hi source hota, this exam would have been very difficult because those people who have good memory skills would have easily cleared the exam. So source nahi hai, application bhi hai source mein jo aapne padha hai. Information coming from various other sources also will determine how exactly you are able to solve the question. Nobody is asking the reason कि आपने क्यों mark किया. You have marked the answer, you cleared the cutoff. What you have to justify then is the mains. So whatever justification that the mains will ask you, because mains mein there is one statement and you have blank sheets, you fill whatever you know. Prelims mein you just have to pick the right answer out of the statements already given. चाहे वो मेरी बुक में से पढ़ा था या न्यूज़पेपर से पढ़ा या मैगजीन से पढ़ा, I should know how to get the right answer out of it. So the source is going to define what you are going to read. Some subjects 50 to 60%, some subjects it can go high up to 90%. And anyway, if you see the last few years cutoff, the cutoff is not going anyway above 50%. It's below 100 only, so you don't have to cover all the questions. Because what happens is, we find in certain subjects कि ये question आया है. अब ये question solve कैसे करें? You have to understand you don't have to solve every question. The strategy which you have to form is anyhow for 75 to maximum 85 questions. You can't have a strategy for each and every question because you might find the book, but the same book might not be relevant next year. So, एक question के पीछे आप नहीं भाग सकते हो. The source which you define based on this is anyways going to help you cover 50 to maximum 80% of the paper. And this is what we have to cover because elimination is, or the cutoff is based on what others are doing. There's no absolute score which you have to get, which is going to help you get a rank. That happens in mains. 1750 marks mains, वो add करेंगे और वो rank decide करेंगे. Here, you score half a mark extra than what the cutoff is, or if you score 20 marks, makes no difference. What makes a difference is what you write in mains. So treat the exam like that only, that this exam has to be attempted maximum 75 to 85 questions. Source में से 35, 40, maximum 45 questions you're going to solve. Once this is decided, and since we have covered like 1 year and most of you would have covered the syllabus, ये हो चुका होगा. Right? Most of you know what the sources you have to cover. Anyone here doesn't know what the source has to be covered for any subject? This exercise has been done, right? Source सबके पास है. Every subject you have certain source. Now what next you have to do? What's the next step? Source सबके पास है तो. Once the field is ready that this is the amount of coverage I have to do, you have to do it multiple times. Now why revision is important? Because 7 to 8 subjects, reading in 1 year, it's not possible to remember each and everything. If you would have done it for one subject, it would have been very easy. But you're doing it for 7 to 8 subjects and the breadth is also quite wide. polity one side, art and culture another, environment ecology another, geography another. That means this is the most important thing. Once the content is clear, what has to be read. And once revision, how would you know you are revising better or not? How do you know how much revision more is required or less is required? The most important thing after revision is and the next 3.5 months, this is what the domain is. The domain is not this. You can't go on finding new sources what you have to read because you'll never have the time to revise. The next 3.5 months is not about mains, is not about finding new books, is not about people telling you this is a Telegram channel, you're going to get questions out of it. You don't have to care whatever anyone else is saying. What you need to take care is this only. What you know, that is going to help you get the maximum marks out of prelims. Not that the revision, the content will not improve. Not that the practice test, whatever you're doing, will not help you improve the content. But you have to be clear on this, that I am not going to read a new book 3 months before the exam. I am not going to read any new source which is quite bulky, which is not, I'll not able to revise or practice. Any source at this time which you can't revise or practice should not be read. Because what will happen then is, whatever source you have done, you found one new source. और नई चीजें हमेशा फ्लैशी लगती हैं, लगता है इसी से आएगा सब, अपने पे कॉन्फिडेंस कम है. You run after this, you leave the revision of this itself. So whatever 40 questions you had to get right, वहाँ पे 20 गलत. This gave me 2 only. So if you see the cost benefit analysis, 3 months before the exam, the new source is not going to give you a lot of benefit, but is going to impose a very heavy cost. Because the revision which you could have done of your source and got those 40 questions correct is now gone. And the moment those 40 questions start getting wrong, 35 to 40 will come from your source. Next 35 to 40 is based on what information you gather and you solve. 20 के लिए तो हम prepare ही नहीं कर रहे. But if you are going to do this, you are trying to solve these questions and you are going to give away this. And if you start losing your base, then it's very difficult to get this one correct. So the first thing you have to note down is, I know what the topics and the questions are. My expectations have been set right, that this is what I am going to read. This is sure what you are going to read. I have to read it multiple times, then only I'm going to get the question correct. How many times I revise depends on what I'm doing in the practice test. One more thing, practice tests are not exact UPSC standard. So you don't have to calculate what score you are getting here. Ye absolutely not important hai. Nobody scores in the practice match, or when nets they are practicing, nobody knows how many times they got out or how many times they hit the ball for a 6. The same thing you have to do. इसमें 0 आ रहा है, 70 आ रहा है, 150 आ रहा है. All of them have absolutely no meaning. A 150 score in a practice test could be a very bad score if the test was easy and the cutoff was 155. A 75 could be a very good score because the test was difficult. So right now, when number of people are not practicing a test and you don't know what the cutoff is going to be, you don't get an idea के score क्या है. But if you calculate the score, वहाँ motivation problem हो जाएगी. 150 आ गए तो next 2 दिन आराम करेंगे, हमें सब आता है. 75 आ गए, वो shit कुछ आता ही नहीं है. And जब कुछ नहीं आता है, then you try to. So you don't know what a good score is. So when you are practicing, the only thing you are going to come to know is कि revision में क्या problem है. See, this practice is going to help you 3 things. First is, you did not have any information. When you have no information on the practice test, see, I'll drop all of this with the economics. I'll give you how exactly what you have to do when practice and revision for this particular subject, economics, but a broader framework first. When you have no information in the practice test, that means it's a good thing. You have now certain information which you can use in the final exam. That means the practice test is also a source of preparation. This should not dishearten you that you did not know a number of questions. In fact, it is a good thing that before the exam you came to know that you did not know a lot of things. That means you keep on adding information which you will use it in the exam. अब practice में पता चल गया कि नई तरह की बॉल आई है, तो वो final exam में we'll be able to tackle. should not be disheartened कि हमें नहीं आता कुछ भी. Two other mistakes that happen in the practice test. You knew the question, but committed a silly mistake. And you knew the question, but could not remember exactly. This is a revision problem. This is a understanding problem. These are the three mistakes which you'll make in the exam. 1, 25 to 30 questions, 50 questions, 70 questions नहीं आते. Never even heard about these terms. Come to the first thing कि ये क्या जरूरी है एग्जाम के लिए. जरूरी है, keep a note of it. Second, when you knew the question but you made a mistake, that means you have a problem in understanding the concept. And if you knew you could not remember, that means you have a problem of. When you have these two problems, that means you have to go back to the source. So the next 3.5 months would not be deciding what you have to read. It is about how to do more of this. The maximum test you solve, the maximum you're going to know about these things. And the maximum practice you have, you are going to get those questions correct in the final exam. Just see what is right or wrong, do not calculate the marks. ये दोनों प्रॉब्लम है. दैट मीन्स योर सोर्स यू हैव टू रिवाइज बेटर और यू हैव टू गेट अ बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. इफ यू डोंट हैव, इफ यू थिंक दिस इज रेलेवेंट, नो इन्फॉर्मेशन जहां पे कुछ भी नहीं पता था, यू न्यू दैट एक्सपेक्टेशंस के हिसाब से कि रेलेवेंट क्वेश्चन है, यू नोट डाउन दिस इंफॉर्मेशन विच यू कैन रिवाइज लेटर. बट दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. A lot of times you might think that शायद ये टॉपिक है, स्कोप से बाहर है, you can skip. But if you think it is not, write it down so that revise later. What you are doing here is, this two things means you are preparing for those 35 to 40. This means you are preparing for the next 35 to 40. Preparation is always about 75 to 85. It is not about the complete 100. You are not running after that one obscure question. One obscure question से लोग डिफाइन करते हैं पेपर मुश्किल है जो तैयारी नहीं कर रहे हैं. आफ्टर द एग्जाम देल से ये देखो क्या पूछा यूपीएससी ने. दे विल नॉट से कि बाकी 80 देखो क्या पूछे हैं. इज देव नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड, दे विल ऑलवेज फाइंड अ स्केपगोट कि देखो ये मुश्किल हो रहा है. मुश्किल तो 20 क्वेश्चन किसने कहा था प्रिपेयर करना. एनी हाउ इट इज, यू हैव टू क्वालिफाई, यू हैव टू क्वालिफाई द कट ऑफ, नो मैटर, यू डोंट हैव टू गेट 150 और 180. अगर इतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट होता तो मार्क्स ऐड होते प्रीलिम्स के. इट्स जस्ट स्क्रीनिंग सो दैट वी गेट टू चेक द पेपर ऑफ पीपल हु आर सीरियस अबाउट द एग्जाम. व्हाई शुड दे चेक 9 पेपर्स ऑफ एवरीवन. बट अब स्क्रीनिंग में सेम टॉपिक्स में पूछना है तो वो यूपीएससी के लिए प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है कि क्वेश्चन क्या बनाए. एंड दिस इज वाई वी हैव टू चेंज अ स्ट्रैटेजी दैट इफ क्वेश्चन ऐसा बन रहा है तो हमें भी शायद रिविजन ज़्यादा चाहिए, हमें प्रैक्टिस ज़्यादा चाहिए. You can't set the same norms 5 years back that this is what people used to do and qualify prelims. This is not going to work 5 years later because the exam is constantly evolving. Last year, a lot of people complained that number of statements, only one statement correct, 2 statement correct पूछ लिया. उससे पहले आपको 5 क्वेश्चन दिए थे जो पूछा था. So you had an idea, but you did not have the courage to go for that strategy because you were happy with whatever strategy people told you. See, this is the thing about this exam. Everybody thinks सबसे कम पढ़ के हम सबसे पहले rank 1 आ जाए. That is not going to work. It is a competitive exam. If you are not reading, someone else is, and when you both meet, he is going to win, not you. It's just that you don't see that other person who's working hard. Because you see people around you who are working on the same source. This is why you think you might able to beat them. बट आप सबको नहीं देख रहे हो जो वो 2 एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स, 2 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हैं, 3 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हैं. बट वो दोनों जब लोग मिलेंगे एग्जाम में, देन यू नो व्हाट द रिजल्ट इज गोइंग टू बी. सो राइट नाउ द एक्सपेक्टेशन, फर्स्ट नो व्हाट यू हैव टू रीड, सॉलिडिफाई द सोर्स. सोर्स इज नॉट गोइंग टू कवर 100% ऑफ योर पेपर. यू डोंट हैव टू कवर दैट, यू डोंट हैव टू बी इन दिस आइडिया कि सब कुछ इसी में से आएगा. दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन. सम सब्जेक्ट्स लेस, सम सब्जेक्ट्स मोर. देन नेक्स्ट, रिविजन एंड प्रैक्टिस. Don't calculate the marks. Either it is going to give you a very fleeting feeling कि मैंने सब achieve कर लिया है, or it is going to disappoint you too much, where it has no meaning at all. People think 120 is a good score. You don't know. Cutoff could be 130. So practice, revise. Which subjects you think are weak, practice more. Collect more information. Because some things are fact related. I'll show you in economics also. There are a number of topics which are fact related. So it's a good thing if you're getting facts before the exam. so that when the exam happens, you already have the fact, you have also revised. मेरे source में नहीं था, मुझे यहाँ से मिल गया. Question paper में solve होना चाहिए, पहले हुआ नहीं हुआ, who cares? Nobody is checking what you scored in practice test. In fact, if you clear the cutoff, nobody is asking you what your score in prelims was. Because what is important is in exam is mains plus interview. And if you see the weightage also, mains is more important than what interview is. So treat that exam like it is. Elimination है कि लोगों को बाहर निकालना है. And this is where it builds confidence. At the end of the day, it's about confidence. You trust yourself, I have read it, I'll mark the answer. You don't trust yourself, it's a problem. You start doubting yourself in the exam, it becomes a problem. How do you get that confidence? You only get that confidence from जितनी बॉल ज़्यादा खेलोगे नेट्स में उतना बेटर परफॉर्म करोगे. Same here, number of questions you solve more, you're going to have more confidence. Nobody can give you that confidence from outside, it only comes from your own practice. And there's no smart work here. Hard work और smart work में फ़र्क ये है कि रैंक के बाद हार्ड वर्क स्मार्ट वर्क बन जाता है. अब उनको बोलना तो है ना हम स्मार्ट कैसे हो गए. That's the only difference. You get a rank, your hard work becomes smart. There's nothing called smart. You are working hard, you worked too much, practiced too much, this is what gave you the result. You had certain bets, वो काम कर गई, but वो fail भी हो सकती थी. Is the idea clear? We have to work on this. Not running after extra sources. Not running after good scores. Only work on what problems you are facing. Come back to the source or add information. Come back again to the source, add information. This is the third 35 to 40. This is next 35 to 40. The more you practice, the more probability you will have of solving those next 35 to 40 because you are solving new information. Collect as much as you can. Trouble yourself. You problem होती है, question नहीं आता है, you feel कि confidence level is dropping, that I don't know. Think it that I know now things before the exam. अभी नहीं आता, पूरा पेपर में 100 में से 80 नहीं आते, but exam से पहले तो वो 80 चीजें आ गई. So if you don't take yourself in those uncharted territories, it will be very difficult to score on those 35 to 40. ये करना पड़ेगा. Because source add करना is very difficult and is not at all advisable. Because source revise नहीं हो सकता है. 3 months before the exam, it's very difficult to revise a new source where you have not read it for first time, you did not develop the understanding, you did not have any notes, where you could synthesize it in smaller format. Better is stick to whatever you have. Is the idea clear? Any doubts here? Now, how do you do it for economics? Economics specially has 2 sections. You have a rough idea syllabus of the topic. Syllabus for prelims is not given. We have taken out the syllabus from previous year questions. Economics has 2 major themes. What are the major themes in economics? What do they ask in economics? What are you reading for economics? Terms related to microeconomics. Anything? How do you know terms related to microeconomics? पिछले 15 साल में माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स के 2 क्वेश्चन आए हैं. Now you have the wrong expectation from the paper. Now you tell me what is the probability that microeconomics. No, I'm not saying it is not going to come, but you tell me the probability. So that means what topic you are reading itself, how much you are reading, the expectation has been set wrong. Only 2 questions in the last 15 years. Only 2. Especially after the pattern change 2011, only 2. Opportunity cost and one of the factors, on what factors does demand depend? 2018 and 2020. There are 2 major things which they ask in economics. One is and the other is Indian economy. Now we are setting the expectations के क्या पूछने वाले हैं. Based on the previous 10 years, 15 years questions, the 2 domains are macroeconomics and the Indian economy. And the type of questions from both these are also different. 6 to 8 questions cover this. 6 to 8 questions cover this. Roughly 15-16 questions come from economics. किसी एक साल यहाँ एक आध plus हो जाएगा, किसी एक साल यहाँ plus हो जाएगा. But roughly the coverage is 50% between the 2. And the type of questions also asked are different. Now, when we talk about macroeconomics, that is how the economy is working at the aggregate level. There are 4 major topics which they ask from macroeconomics, giving emphasis on 2. The most important topic which they ask is the concept of money and inflation. And second, the external sector dynamics. How is the exchange rate determined and how exactly balance of payment movement happens. Less asked, the government policy and terms related to growth and development. These are the 4 types or 4 major topics of macroeconomics. And if you've referred to one of the most important source for economics, that is the class 12th macroeconomics NCERT. वही chapter हैं 4. Maximum questions come from that NCERT itself. Class 12th macroeconomics NCERT, if you see the contents will mention only these 4 topics. And the questions are from these topics only. Nowhere technical, because they just want you to know how the economy works. Underlying theory kya hai, underlying maths kya hai, it's not at all important for our exam. This is why there's a difference between what bachelor's, master's syllabus of economics is and what they ask in UPSC. Because bachelor's, master's mein they teach you the theories behind it. They teach you the models, how exactly did we reach here. We don't have to do anything with that. The only maximum thing which we need to know here is whatever is mentioned in class 12th NCERT of macroeconomics. Just see how many questions they have picked from this NCERT itself. Maximum you'll find from this only. Now once we know what the syllabus is, what type of questions is second? Now what type of questions are coming from this? There are 3 basic questions which come from this. Is the idea clear? Macroeconomics, what they're going to ask? Now what exactly is the growth and development, fiscal policy, external sector and money and inflation. I'll show you certain questions to give you a broad idea what you have to cover. So that in the next 3 months, out of these, what you have to maximum prepare. Out of these 4 areas, there are 3 type of questions. I'll show you examples also. One is the meaning of the terms. What do you mean by fiscal deficit? What is current account deficit? Who controls inflation? Just a broad understanding if you know the meaning or not. And second, how exactly these terms work in the economy. That means if we change any variable, what is the cause? What is the effect? So setting the expectations, one part of the paper is only about conceptual understanding. This part of the paper, 6 to 8 questions, do not involve any rote memory. They only involve whether you have the conceptual understanding or not. And this is what makes economics very easy to score. Because once you understand, you don't have to remember anything. वो 8 question हो जाएंगे. For example, sterilization is an operations under what? So this is, you just know, understand. You will be able to solve the question. This was a question in 2023. Self-help group, Indian economy, there's a solution to it. That is fact, which you have to learn. MSME loans are priority or not? This is something you have to learn. This is not something you can understand. याद करना है. RBI said 10 sectors are priority. Now, according to RBI, anything could be priority. You have to know what they classify as priority. So that part you have to learn. This part you only have to understand. Once you understand, you solve any number of questions, your efficiency is going to increase. If you don't understand, solve it first, then only practice. So this part of the exam is only about conceptual understanding. Revision will happen of your understanding. Do not try to learn anything here. Okay, I have learned that if inflation happens, if the question is inflation happens, then the central bank increases the interest rate. Now, if you learn this concept, there's a very big problem here. If inflation happens, you don't know how much inflation happened, the central bank will necessarily increase the interest rates. It can happen, but it is not sure. Now, how do you know that? Because you have not learned it. इसी से क्वेश्चन गलत होता है, because cause and effect, they're only asking the first order effect, that if this happens, what will happen? This can happen, but आपने याद ही कर लिया ये होता ही है, फिर तो आपका क्वेश्चन बनेगा नहीं. So you have to understand the concepts here, no matter what source you have referred to, your understanding should be clear. Then practice as many questions as you can, efficiency will keep on increasing. Because how do you know whether you understand or not? How will you know this? Only when you are, not when you are reading new books. रेपो रेट सबने सेम समझाया हुआ है, 4 जगह पढ़ने से अच्छा है कि उसको पढ़ के समझ के क्वेश्चन करो. Limit the source, solve the question. See where the problem lies. I told you there can be only 3 problems. New information, could not answer it correctly, could not recall, or made a mistake because I did not understand. अब रेपो रेट में तो information कहाँ से और आएगी? You understand? You have to clearly know this, then only your preparation goes in line. Otherwise, if you set the wrong expectations, you are going to end up blaming a lot of people कि इन्होंने बोला था यहाँ से आएगा, इन्होंने बोला यहाँ से आएगा, कुछ नहीं हुआ. Because what you knew you did not practice, you got them those questions wrong. पहले 35 to 40 जो easy जो source से आ रहे हैं वो गलत होते हैं. It's very difficult to clear the exam. Is the idea clear? Now what type of questions? I'll show you this terms and also this cause effect. If the RBI decides to adopt an expansionist monetary policy, which of the following it will not do? You understand the theme? Money and RBI is following. First you need to know मतलब क्या है इसका. Then you need to know what exactly is the effect or how exactly this will happen. दो ही चीजें हैं. Expansionist होता कैसे है? अगर होता है तो effect क्या है? Question is asking expansionist होता कैसे है? And you have to be careful while reading the question. Cut the SLR, increase the MSF rate, cut the bank rate. All of the question demand is you should know what the meaning of these terms is and how these terms operate in the economy. That means money and inflation part mein, the only thing required is conceptual understanding, how something happens and what is its effect. Terms and what is the effect. We're not solving it right now. This is for, like, you should have this concept, you should have the idea. Is the idea clear what the question is? Which of the following activities of RBI is considered as part of sterilization? You understand sterilization? Term का meaning पता होना चाहिए. And what is open market, settlement payment systems, debt and cash regulation. So if you know the meaning, this question is not at all difficult. This is UPSC 2023. Last year itself they've asked the question. This is why I said 6 to 8 में से वो 3 से 4 गलत हो गए जो आने थे source से. वहाँ फिर problem start हो गई. Why did we not get those correct? Because we were running after multiple sources. We could not consolidate the source which we had decided we are going to do. Is the idea clear? With reference to FDI, which is considered as its major characteristic, it's nothing but asking the meaning of FDI. External sector balance of payment, capital account, what is FDI? It's not asking you any technical details. It's just asking you tell us the meaning of it. यहाँ पे थोड़ा difficulty they do is they can ask difficult phrases. But if you understand the concept, you'll understand कि नहीं, the question is not difficult. Cause or effect. The effect of devaluation is that it necessarily, how the value of currency is decided, and currency can lose value, currency can gain value. Question is asking if the currency gains value, loses value, what will happen? Answer you can know. I'm not telling right or wrong, but you understand the type of question. So out of the 4 macroeconomics concepts, you should know the meaning of the term and you should know what is the, how do they work in the economy. Cause क्या है और effect क्या है. With reference to the expenditure made by organization or a company, acquiring new technology is capital expenditure. Debt financing is capital, equity financing is revenue. So when you read about fiscal policy, you read about budget. Budget has a classification, revenue and capital. How do we define revenue and capital? This is the question. Something is capital, something is revenue. You need to know why that classification was made. Whether it is organization, company, government, मतलब तो same ही रहेगा चीज का. So just asking the meaning. So how they have evolved the question is, 7 years back, they used to ask, what are the components of the revenue budget of the government? अब वो direct question था. अब that has been eliminated, अब नहीं पूछ सकते दोबारा. So अभी थोड़ा evolve कर दिया. Topic remains the same. You should know the difference between revenue head and capital head. So for the macroeconomics concept, you only need to know the meaning of the term and how it operates in the economy. You don't have to rote memorize anything. You just have to understand. Practice test, understand, this is done. All of the questions are this type only. Understand the concept, consolidate whatever sources you have, revise it and practice. Same thing. Abhi to ye revise or practice hi hona chahiye because whatever time you have prepared, you were doing this only. इतने टाइम से पढ़ रहे थे, class notes, printed material, all of this was doing this only. Now is the time to consolidate. Now is the time not to think about mains. We don't know what fiscal policy will happen in mains. We don't know what monetary policy will come in mains. We have to solve prelims for now. Prelims में हमें दो चीजें पता होनी चाहिए, terms and how do we solve. We don't have to question ourselves कि demand pull factors चारों याद हों. See, कुछ pressure नहीं लेना कि सब याद होना चाहिए, क्योंकि आंसर सामने होगा हमेशा. In prelims, the answer will always be in front of you. You just need to pick the right answer out. So you don't have to mug up कि ये expansionist पूछ लिया तो expansionist में और government क्या करती है और क्या हो सकता है. No pressure at all because whatever the statement of the question will be, that will be in front of you. Nobody is asking you to write anything. All what they are asking you to do is pick the right answer in 2 hours. Don't doubt yourself क्योंकि हमने change कुछ नहीं किया है. Concept और better समझो तो options में problem नहीं होगी. You don't have to change anything, you just have to make your understanding better so that elimination was a lazy strategy. That thodi understanding se bhi question was should be solved. Now that lazy strategy has been eliminated. You have to understand each statement now. So just the effort while revising and understanding should be more. Because now that lazy strategy, हाँ दो चीजें बचा तीसरी eliminate कर लेंगे वो नहीं होगा. So if the paper has changed, you have changed, no longer are you dependent on elimination. Your understanding and revision has to be strong. How do you know that? Keep on practicing. This is the only thing you have to do in the next 3.5 months. Revise, practice, revise, practice. Don't doubt your sources. जब start किया था, कहीं पे भी trust दिया था, वो sources वही हैं. Read those sources multiple times. Revise and practice. Is the idea clear? The second part is Indian economy. Now this is slightly a tricky part. The Indian economy, these are the sectors which they are going to ask. Or based on previous year, this is what they have asked, and this is our expectation they'll ask this year. The basic growth and development, related concept, what is poverty, unemployment, inequality, very important, banking and financial markets. So see how the trend has also evolved based on what the news coverage is. 2016, 17, 18, NPAs were in news. NPAs were in news, so maximum questions used to come from banking. Now after 2020, most of the NPA problem has been solved. So banking is not being asked, what is being asked is financial market. They're asking instruments, INVIT ka kya hai, convertible bonds kya hota hai, which of the following are capital markets. So they've shifted, but they're remaining in these sectors only. This used to be less important, one question used to come, now more questions are coming from this, less from this. I'm not saying ke ulta ho sakta, but this is how, based on whatever is being covered in news, the priority in the exam can shift. Doesn't mean you have to prepare banking less. Prepare sab karna hai. Trade dynamics, which of the commodities most traded, India is the leader of what, all of those things. How India is trading with the rest of the countries, which commodities, certain few important commodities, you should know who's the largest exporter, importer. Agriculture, industry and services, the broader sectors. Now what type of questions are coming from this? One thing you need to understand, yeah, understanding kam hai ya yaad karna hai. If something has happened in the Indian economy, you can't change it. If agriculture sector is being organized like this, you can't change anything. You just have to learn what is happening. What type of questions are expected from this? Any rough idea? Recently news mein hota hai. Anything? Is it recently in news only that is coming in this, from these topics? See, two major things you have to capture from the perspective of prelims. One, you need to know the basics of all of these sectors. That means you need to know how these sectors have been organized. Agriculture में employment क्या है? Agriculture का output contribution क्या है? What exactly is agriculture in India? What crops are we producing? Same with industry. Same with banking, financial markets. You need to know how the sector has been organized. What we say is you need to know the basics of these sectors. Once you understand the organization, the basics of the sector, the next step is that you need to know what the issues the sector is facing. Now, issues, if you see, is what is the domain of mains. Just pick up the syllabus of mains. You'll find all of the sectors and you'll find the issues written in the syllabus. Whether it is agriculture, direct and indirect subsidy, agriculture marketing, the liberalization reforms, the policies in industry, growth and development prospects in India, inclusive growth and issues arising out of it. So everything's analysis is what is mains is asking. They are not asking it in prelims. But what they're asking is the solution to these issues. And the solution to these issues is the programs, the policy, or the scheme of the government. And an added thing which they ask is what are the institutions also involved in this. Institutions is also a part here, how the sector is organized, and also a part of solution. So what is being picked in the exam is how the sector is organized and how the government is solving the problem. Kisan credit card is what? Small farmer, large field. That's a solution to very big problem in agriculture, that the land size is very small. So all of the questions are centered around solution, either the basics of the sector or solution. These two are the major domains which you have to pick. And when we say organization or basics of the sector, we are also talking about the trend analysis. 5 years mein fiscal deficit kya tha? 5 years mein what happened to current account deficit? But this trend is mostly fact. Now trend is something difficult to remember. Kitni cheezon ke trend yaad karoge? So for that you just understand this. You will be able to solve trend also. Because general economy samajhte ho that in these 5 years this would have happened, you will be able to solve trend. You can't remember trends ke recapitalization 5 saal mein kya huyi thi. You cannot do that because the amount of data for trends would be too huge. And if you do the cost benefit analysis, there will be one question, but the data you'll have to remember is too much. So it's better to skip the question if you can't solve, then prepare for it, because the amount of energy it is going to consume is going to be too much. Without any benefit direct, either in prelims or mains. So it's better to quit this question. Out of 16, you don't have to solve everything. Ek chhod bhi do. Because again, screening hai. Absolute score nahi count hota hai. This is why or how hard work becomes smart work. But only after selection. There's no difference. Selection ho jata hai, wo apne aap bolte hum smart hai. Aur kya bole? Because there is no other strategy. And if you ask the same person to give the exam again and give the same result, is there any probability the result will be the same? तभी दोबारा देते नहीं है. Probability होती है rank सब improve करना ना. Everybody wants rank 1. Everybody wants the good cadre, whichever cadre they want, and also the service they want. They don't try it again because they know they will lose it. This is what is hard work and smart work. No other thing. Is the idea clear? What you have to pick is organization, and you have to pick the solution. And solution are best remembered when you do it with issues. Number of schemes, number of institutions. Now, how do you know soil health card or Kisan credit card ke features? This can only be remembered if you know there's a problem of credit delivery in agriculture. So when you prepare that specific topic, you should know the solution also along with it. You can't prepare in silos, because if it happens in silos, you are going to get 500 solutions here. The human brain cannot absorb so much of information in very less amount of time. How it can absorb this information if it is presented in a story format? A problem ye tha, solution ye hua. Story yaad hoti hai, facts which are disjointed will never be, you will be able to do. And everybody knows that scheme will come in the exam. And somehow before the exam you think 500 hai, kaun karega? But you already know 500 में से आनी थी 4, और वो 4 क्वेश्चन सही होने चाहिए थे, पता थे कि आएंगे. Anemia Book Bharat or even the other scheme, the Janani Suraksha Yojana, they're already asked 3 years back. So you already knew that this is going to come. Why not prepare for it? Have a strategy which is going to help prepare for it. You can't just have 500 at the last day. Issues ke saath strategy ho. Don't go into the analysis. Just know the problem, know the solution. So whatever topic you read in Indian agriculture, in industry, in banking, you should know what the topic is, what the problem is, and what the solution is. Topic wise solution yaad hoga, the hit rate will be higher. Because anyhow you don't have to write the answer. You have to pick the right answer. This is a very big mental edge you get. याद कुछ नहीं करना है, सामने से उठाना है. बस प्रॉब्लम ये है कि कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आता सही है नहीं है. कॉन्फिडेंस कैसे है? स्टोरीज याद होनी चाहिए. ऑटोमेटिकली बाहर जाती बॉल भी मारोगे, सहवाग तभी बनोगे. Because he has more confidence, he does not have the ability. The most successful captain in Indian cricket history does not know how to hit a cover drive. महेंद्र सिंह धोनी. कैसे परफॉर्म कर रहा है अपनी एबिलिटी से ज्यादा? Because he has confidence. How do you, the same thing you require here. You don't have to tell anyone how did you get the answer right. We will tell it in mains. Selection वहीं से आएगा ना, यहाँ तो आंसर सही चाहिए. कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए. कॉन्फिडेंस कैसा है? रिविजन इन प्रैक्टिस, नॉट रनिंग आफ्टर मल्टीपल सोर्सेज, अगेन रिपीटिंग. इज द आइडिया क्लियर? आई विल शो यू क्वेश्चंस आल्सो ऑन दिस. द फर्स्ट डेमोक्रेटिकली इलेक्टेड कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म्ड इन अ स्टेट इन इंडिया. India's largest bank, Imperial, was renamed State Bank. Air India was nationalized. Goa became a part of independent India. So how the Indian economy has organized, you need to know the planning history. You know 2 or 3 events out of it, the question gets solved. Now you need to know all 4. Because you might not get the option benefit. तो वो जो laziness थी कि 2 से ही option बन जाता है, अब चारों का पता चाहिए. Because वो अब option नहीं बनाएगा. So the laziness has to go from the preparation. Nothing else has to change. Because they can't change the topics. If they change the topic, they lose credibility. Topic वही होगा, option मुश्किल होगा. Because if you see from the examiner perspective, ये करना जरूरी है. I can't ask the same question again and again. Plus, there are no brilliant minds who can form new questions from the same topic every year. This is why the scope is slightly enlarged or options change. The self-help group program was initially initiated by State Bank to provide microcredit to financial deprived. Now, how do you prepare this topic, self-help group? This is this year question. Again, self-help group is a solution to certain thing. What is the solution? Or why is this a solution to certain thing? कौन सी चीज का solution है self-help group? Women empowerment. Before women empowerment, how we target poverty in the country? How do we alleviate people out of poverty? When you read the basics on poverty, you read about measurement of poverty. अब poverty हटाने के लिए what the steps government is taking? Financial inclusion. Anything else? Credit creation. Microcredit, this is the answer. There are 2 approaches. Either provide wage employment, Manrega, or provide self-employment, self-help group. Year on year, these are the 2 strategies which the government is propagating. We will help you get the credit, you work. Mudra, Stand Up India, Swanidhi scheme. Work on your own, we provide you credit. अब तीनों solution किसके हैं? Poverty alleviation के. So you prepare the topic poverty alleviation, you will prepare the topic self-help group. You would note that self-help group started with the help of NABARD, not SBI. So again, the topic is not disjointed. You needed to know the basics of the Indian economy and the solution to those. Self-help group, all members take responsibility. Self-help group में features ही पता चल जाएंगे पहले. How this whole approach was successful. Because when we were giving loans to individuals, they did not work. People did not give the money back. We gave them a group responsibility. This is what the definition and the feature is. RRB and scheduled commercial banks support this. So understand how organizations say, you know that there were issues ka you know the solution. Which of the following links all the ATMs in India? Banking, financial markets, you have payment systems. Sometimes they ask general awareness question. You are using UPI, you should know what the features of UPI are. Paytm Payments Bank, in news, you should know the features of payment banks. ATMs linking, again, something related to the organization of the sector. That is what? NPCI. How many of the above are included in capital markets? Again, organization of the sector. What is money market? What is capital market? India accounts for 3.2% of global export of goods. Organization of the external sector, how much are we exporting? This is an information that is economic survey every year. This year, if you don't have an economic survey, you have a document presented, India a review. So whatever they used to present in 400 pages, they have done it in 75. Many local companies, some foreign companies operating in India have taken advantage of PLI. There's a problem in industry, India is not able to get the investments. The solution is PLI. What are the features of PLI? So only 2 things to be targeted. how the sector has been organized, and what the solutions have been presented to the problems of the sector. They are better learned with the problems. This is why if you go through the issues, you'll have better hold over this. But otherwise, issues are mostly covered in mains. So 2 things: domain, organization of the sector, and solutions. Which one of the following best describes the concept of small farmer, large field? Now, this is application based. If you understand agriculture problem, you will be able to solve this question. So if you read about agriculture, India has only 3 problems. India has too many people in agriculture. India has small land sizes. And third, India has a productivity problem. That we are producing, but the input required is too much. Now, one of the problems is small farmer. Small farmer, large field would mean what? Farmers coming together and working together. Now, this is something which you can't find any source. But if you know the problem solution, क्या ही होगा इसमें? यही confidence है. That I know this is the sector, और sector इतनी ही चीजें हैं उसमें. So if the government has proposed any solution, or if someone is promoting any solution, what could be the reason behind it? This is the next 35 to 40 how you solve. This will never come from a new source, because what's the guarantee that you'll cover that source? Is the idea clear? India, despite having uranium deposits, depends on coal for most of its electricity production. Uranium enriched to the extent of 60% is required for production of electricity. Again, the organization of the sector, since power sector too much in news, also important. Is the idea clear? One part of the exam is conceptual understanding. One part of the exam for economics is facts. Knowing the sector and understanding its whatever the problems are and the solutions which the government is doing. According to MSME Act, medium enterprises are those which invest in plant and machinery between 15 and 25. Organization of the sector, basic of the sector, MSME की definition क्या है? And all bank loans to MSME are under priority sector. Banking sector, what are priority sector? So Indian economy, the function is this. Macroeconomics, it's understanding. And since understanding is not to be revised and again, you have certain leeway, is part pe you can focus more. So there, if you are getting 6 to 7 correct, this is where you have to increase the scope. This is where you have to get 5, 6, 7 correct. And it is very much possible. Only 1 or 2 questions are obscure. For example, last year they had asked a question, what do you mean by beta in finance? अब वो question जरूरी नहीं है attempt करना है. So out of 16, you can leave that one. But rest 15 are giving you a chance because you know what the type is. You know what the expectation from the paper is. Is the idea clear? So 2 things to do: organization and programs. The question is, how do you do this? Now, slight change which you can have in your strategy. I'm not changing the source. What you have to do is cover the source itself. To understand the organization of the sector, you can refer to India Yearbook. There are 32 chapters in the India Yearbook. Do not read all. What sectors you understand are important for the exam, pick those sectors, read those 4 pages. Because what those pages mention is organization, institutions and scheme. और यही तीनों चीजें question में आती. Read it selectively only for those parts where you did not have the information in your original source. That is going to provide you the maximum information. Electricity sector, labor का question they can ask. Who measures employment? Where exactly labor survey की 4 duties क्या हैं? So those chapters where you don't, it's difficult to find the information, pick the yearbook, read it selectively for only few chapters. Then the most important source is newspaper. Because maximum of these themes of Indian economy are inspired from what is happening around. They're not obscure sectors, they're always related to something which is happening around you. If the question was on banking, because for regularly 3 years, the problem was the banking sector. Now that the problem has been solved, the problem again has shifted to poverty, unemployment, all of those issues. So this year, there could be more questions on that. Less on banking, more on capital markets. So this is how you pick the themes. Probability वहाँ से पता चलती है कि कौन से sectors पे you have to focus more. Again, selected sectors only, not all. Try reading 2 newspapers if possible. Because the better the coverage. Because prelims is all about कहीं से भी information मिल गई, I solved the question. And one more question here, 3.5 months left, should I stop reading the newspaper? Till the day you get selected, and in fact after also selection, you should not stop reading the newspaper. Never stop reading the newspaper. You don't know whether from one day before itself a related news has come and you can solve the question. This is one thing which you should not leave before selection. Even after selection भी पढ़ो तो अच्छा ही है. Do not leave the newspaper. Maximum chances are that you get a random information. That random information helps you solve the question even if it is not direct. Because the only chance of capturing more important information is the newspaper. Because if you try another source, you don't have a guarantee का question आएगा. Newspaper आपका world view बढ़ाता जा रहा है एक दिन पहले भी. So it is giving you more and more information that even before the exam 35 to 40 questions you can tackle effectively. If you stop reading, that is gone. Revision ही हो रहा है, मेंस में better analysis हो जाएगा. Interview में you might be able to deliver a better answer. Read it, do not stop. In fact, go for the second also. Because 35 to 40 जो next है, उसमें you need extensive reading. It's better that do not go to the source, go to the newspaper only. कोई नई book पढ़ने से better है newspaper. Because overall information है सारे subjects की. There's no other source better than the newspaper which is going to help you solve it. So do not stop newspaper. This is the key to add those 3 to 4 extra questions. Not directly, but indirectly also information comes. The solutions, you have one thing, annual report, because schemes might get bulky. So you can refer to the annual reports of the ministries. Only few ministries, say agriculture, MSME, few of the ones related to economics, where you will find the schemes. Scheme की authentic information annual report में ही है. You want a synthesized version, you can get it from the institute. We also have that PD365 ka document. But if you want it directly from the source, that is annual reports. Do not leave the schemes. That is 5 to 6 questions, guaranteed, which you can solve. और किसी question की guarantee नहीं है जितनी scheme की है. Because 15 years consistently schemes are being covered. Better to learn it with issues, solve it there. Then budget and economic survey. Budget, you have the interim budget. You need to know the broader trend. See, when you are reading the newspaper for 1 year, वो पूरा 1 year का synthesis है दोनों document. Survey talks about the performance of the government of the previous 1 year. So all the information, even if you skip certain newspapers, that information comes from this document. Very important document, even if you don't get it directly, indirectly it helps solve a lot of questions. Direct questions also have appeared from both budget and survey. This year we have the interim budget and also the document. So those two documents, in fact, they are less. So those are recommended. Source is done, revise, practice, revise, practice. Is the idea clear? Now is not the time to add a source. Now is the time, whatever you know, you are going to the field. जो आएगा वहीं देखेंगे. जितना सीखा है उसी से we'll try to improve. The only additional source which you can add is 2 newspaper. Trust me, this is the maximum advantage you get in the exam. Because idea ये होता है कि we think we should read less and get the maximum marks. Everywhere you are trying to reduce your effort and get the maximum result. Just give one effort and see the results which you are getting. Exponential benefits आएंगे exam में, prelims में, mains में भी. Just put the effort. Because anyhow you realize it's a competitive exam, you are not doing it, someone else is, they have more chances. Just that you don't see the other person who's reading more. You अपने पास तो वही लोग रखे हैं ना जो हमारे जितना पढ़ते हैं. हमसे ज़्यादा पढ़ेंगे, ग्रुप अलग हो जाएगा, वो पहले ही अच्छा नहीं लग रहा रोज. This is how you form groups. You will always have friends who are reading the same because you don't want to feel guilty every day. He is reading, I am not. तो इसलिए ग्रुप्स अलग ही हो जाएंगे. But जब एग्जाम दोगे तो सारे इकट्ठे आएंगे. That group gets selected, you did not. Is the idea clear? Any doubts here? Any doubts from economics?
सर इकोनॉमिक्स के जो नोट्स है जब वो 4000 अपना 400 पेजेस तक बन जाते हैं तो उसको सिनॉप्सिस में अपना 15 और 20 पेजेस में आखिरी रिवीजन में कैसे लाना, मतलब मुझे
Why do you want to put it in 15 pages if you are able to solve it from 400?
लास्ट स्टेज जब ऐसे 15 या 20 दिन बाकी हो गए तो उसके लिए कैसे मतलब स्ट्रेटजी रहनी चाहिए इकोनॉमिक्स?
Do you think anyone who goes into the exam revises everything one day before the exam? कोहली सारी शॉट मार के देखता है एक दिन पहले.
नहीं सर.
फिर he has confidence, so he revises those things which are more probable जो याद नहीं हो रहे. Facts ज़्यादा पढ़ोगे तो 400 to 15 pages क्यों लाने हैं? If you are able to successfully solve questions out of those 400, why do you want to bring it to 15? There's no one strategy. Last 1 week you just have to manage your stress so that you sleep better. बिकॉज एक साल की प्रिपरेशन लास्ट हफ्ते में खो थोड़ी जाएगी. You just have to manage the stress level 1 week before. It's not about what you read or you don't read. You've already accumulated enough. Last 1 week you're only trying to have certain facts जो direct आ सकते हैं अगले दिन. Read the newspaper. Calm down your nerves because और जगह नहीं होगा, पढ़ने से ही होता calm down. So you have to just manage the stress 1 day before. You don't have to think कि 15 पेज रिवाइज कर लूँ. 400 से जब बन गए थे 15 से एक्स्ट्रा क्या हो रहा है? Time and effort is more.
Thank you, sir.
हाँ यहाँ सुन आ जाइए बस.
Sir, actually I had 3 questions. Sir, is it feasible that we should read any book on macroeconomic theory if we are preparing for 2025? And secondly, what about standard books like Sanjeev Verma or Ramesh Singh? And sir, my last question was, how do we decide what sectors are important, especially if we have to read the annual report of ministries because it is very bulky?
All the three, you need to know what the expectations are from the paper. How do you get to know the expectations from the paper?
PYQ analysis.
You have the answer. Do you have to read the macroeconomic theory? Answer is no, because you know the question does not go into theory. Now, which book you are comfortable, pick a source because you know what the questions are. Agriculture, industry are giving me more questions. I'll visit only those 2 annual reports. I'll not visit all. All the answers depend on what your expectations are. Set those correct based on previous year. Problem ये है, people don't set those correct. People want one source and want to get selected the next day. सोर्स भी पूरा नहीं पढ़ना, 4 दिन बाद सोर्स भी कुछ ऐसा बता दो जो कम पढ़ना पड़े. सो अगर पता है क्या आएगा तभी you will be able to pick the source and then revise and consolidate. Now is the time to revise and consolidate and practice. Now is not the time to pick a new source. एक बॉलीवुड का बहुत फेमस सॉन्ग है, तूने जो ना कहा मैं वो सुनता रहा. आगे क्या बोलता वो? खामखा बेवजह कुछ भी पढ़ लो. तूने जो ना कहा, देखो तो क्या आएगा. एक्सपेक्टेशन कैसे हो सकती, क्या आएगा? This is the most important thing about the exam. You have to set the expectations right. नहीं तो खामखा बेवजह तो 6 साल है. You'll find number of people in the library who will tell you. बहुत खामखा बेवजह उनका भी नहीं हो रहा. उन्हें जरूर ये पता है कि कौन सी बुक पढ़नी है. Is the idea clear? Any other doubts? एक बहुत पीछे डाउट है.
सर एक्चुअली मतलब मैंने सर बहुत सारे टेस्ट पेपर्स दिए हैं रिगार्डिंग, अगर देखा जाए तो एक पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट को लेकर के अप्रॉक्सीमेटली आई थिंक 5 to 7 अगर देखा जाए तो सर मतलब मैं दे चुका हूं सर. अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 500 to 700 क्वेश्चंस मैंने सॉल्व किए हुए हैं सर. तो सर मैंने क्या देखा है कि एवरी टेस्ट पेपर्स में क्या होता है, आफ्टर 60 to 70 क्वेश्चंस जो 30 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं ना सर, उनमें बिल्कुल ही नए नए क्वेश्चंस होते हैं सर, और उनमें डेटाज मेरे को मतलब याद नहीं होता है सर. और वो 30 क्वेश्चंस के जो ऑप्शंस भी होते हैं ना सर, एवरी ऑप्शंस में अगर देखा जाए तो जो फैक्ट्स दे रखा होता है ना, अप्रोक्सीमेटली लेट से अगर 30 क्वेश्चंस है और उसमें हर का ऑप्शन देखा जाए तो सर 4 नए मेरे को फैक्ट्स बेसिकली मिल रहा है. तो 1200 के आसपास मेरे को एवरी मतलब एक टेस्ट के हिसाब से मेरे को 1200 नए फैक्ट्स मिल गए सर. तो ये चीज अगर मैं मल्टीपल लेट से मैं 10 टेस्ट अगर मैंने सॉल्व किए सर तो 12,000 के आसपास हो जाएंगे सर. तो इन सारों को रिकॉल कर पाना लास्ट टाइम में सर ये सीम्स टू बी नेक्स्ट टू बी इम्पॉसिबल. सिर्फ ये एक सब्जेक्ट की बात कर रहा हूं मैं, मल्टीपल सब्जेक्ट्स है, देयर आर अप्रोक्सीमेटली लेट से 5 to 7 सब्जेक्ट, और 5 to 7 सब्जेक्ट्स में अगर मैं ऐसे करने चलूं सर तो क्या लास्ट टाइम में रिवाइज हो पाएगा? बिकॉज दिस इज द सॉर्ट ऑफ डिलेमा व्हिच आई एम फेसिंग सर फ्रॉम पास्ट 2 months सर. तो मतलब what should be the solution sir?
So out of those 30 you can pick out what the relevant themes were. कुछ तो हो सकता है ना, कि because paper बनाना ही है 700 on economics is difficult task. So there would some questions which are relevant, some which are not relevant. So pick out those relevant things. Out of those 30 questions which you said not every theme would be relevant for the exam, I've told you how the questions are coming. So based on this information, pick out the relevant ones.
आंसर मतलब पता चल जाता है सर, कुछ क्वेश्चंस तो पता चल जाते हैं, जैसे कि कुछ का रिपीटेशंस होता है.
Of all the 30, and if you assume 1200 also, you don't have to rote memorize. Even if you revise this two times or 3 times before the exam, आपको आंसर उठाना है, आंसर लिखना नहीं है. There's a very big difference between the two, because if I remember 1200 facts, it's very difficult to reproduce the same facts again. But if you show me the facts again, then I have higher chance of solving it than if you ask me to write it. So that you have to exercise your judgment which those 30 questions are important, which will have more probability in the exam. Just twice or thrice, maximum 4 times you visit them, you have to pick the right answer. एक बार memory बन गई देख के तो वहाँ expect ज़्यादा solve करने की probability है. We are only talking about probabilities. We don't have to write those 1200. So don't make that thing in your mind कि मेरे पास 12,000 fact हैं. Even if I've got new information, just go through it. You have an idea, you might be able to solve it better in the exam. But exercise the judgment what you're reading. Exam is all about what you read and what you don't read.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? So next is your IR. IR follows a similar pattern. IR में the topics, if you see, I'll just give you a broad overview of IR because IR का बहुत interconnections हैं. For example, in economics, IR is external sector. That what exactly is the trade we are doing? What are the treaties we have? Free trade agreements and all. Similarly, IR has a very big overlap with geography.
सर सर न्यूज़पेपर में मतलब मोर आउटपुट कैसे पढ़ें उसको प्रॉपर?
If you know what you are reading it for.
ओके
Output तो इसे आ गया ना, पता है कि न्यूज़पेपर में इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है.
ओके सर.
How do you know that? You know the expectations के एग्जाम में क्या आएगा. 20 से 25 मिनट से ज़्यादा नहीं लगने चाहिए न्यूज़पेपर में.
ओके सर.
That's the maximum. Because you've been doing it for 1 year. You know what is important. Why would you read it again and again the topics which you know are not important for prelims? अब तक तो समझ आ जाता ना, एक साल सेम करो तो क्या होगा. Most of times you would know कि न्यूज़ आनी भी क्या है. नहीं गेस कर रहे हो. बताते होगे ना फ्रेंड्स को, देखना कल क्या होगा. यही तो बात कर रहे हो ना, जब अब आगे का देख रहे हो तो अभी तो पता है ना क्या हो रहा है. If you read it for continuously 2 to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, automatically thing is done. People don't underestimate the newspaper because they think direct questions we are trying to catch. Newspaper, forget everything. Newspaper is one which is going to get you through CSAT. 1/3 of the paper is English. जब रोज हिंदू की इतनी मुश्किल इंग्लिश पढ़ के मतलब निकाल रहे हो तो एग्जाम में क्यों नहीं कर सकते 30 क्वेश्चन के लिए? Automatically the pressure goes. Because maths and reasoning, you have to know the formulas, you'll have to have practice. English, though, you are practicing unknowingly every day of the year. You are reading multiple books, you are reading the newspaper, you are reading meaning. Same do it in the exam. बस कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं होता कि कुछ भी सही हो सकता है, इसलिए फिर मैथ्स पे जाते हैं, वहाँ तो पक्का आंसर आएगा. और जब पक्का आंसर नहीं आता, अब कहाँ जाए? अगले साल देखेंगे. And this is what happens. You don't trust yourself enough. If you trust yourself enough, English is enough to solve the CSAT exam. Coming back to IR. Places in news, location, and the reason why they are in news. This is a most important theme which is being covered in the last 3 years. Trade and macroeconomics related. Macroeconomics theme है inflation, theme है development related things, and organizations. These are the 3 broader themes. See why this part of the paper is getting tough? Because जो most easy available reports थी जो newspaper में आ रही हैं बार बार, ease of doing business, the various World Economic Forum, IMF, the World Bank reports, वो question तो पूछ लिए. That means now institutions, whatever they are going to ask, they are going to move ahead. That means these international organization questions are mostly related to certain topics. Because reports are mostly done. I'm not saying reports cannot come again, but reports ka probability is less. Now these topics which are in news, for example, the topic is war. War से related UN की कौन सी bodies हैं? Topic is climate. Climate related what organizations there are. The topic is biodiversity. The topic is trade. The topic is macroeconomics, debt. So topic related organizations. So topics every day are in the news. For example, recently the country said that relief organization UN ka we are going to cut down the funding. Know the basics about those organizations. It's all topic related. Whatever topic has salience in the news in the 1-2 years, those questions will come. Same thing, this also. This though will be covered in geography, but same salience in news, location and why it came. Geography तो उसकी important थी ही, वो news में भी क्यों आया, that becomes important. This is the same trend. This is why newspaper reading helps till the last date. Because those topics will keep on continuing. You are revising it till the last day. एक दिन पहले same day newspaper से बहुत questions फंसते हैं. Israel has established diplomatic relations with some Arab states. The Arab Peace Initiative. अब ये diplomatic relation बनाए तभी लड़ाई हुई. The Abraham Accords and then with Saudi Arabia they were trying to sign a deal and there comes Hamas. Any Recent news, place in news, you have a question. G20 group was established as platform digital public. So G20, you know the relevance. 3 साल तक relevance हो सकता है इस topic का, because the government was very keen to participate and become the president. So it becomes important. Every institution place in news, IR has a theme in news. Everything is news related. You know about the basics of the sector, whether you read about World Bank, IMF, WTO, and UN. 4 or 5 bodies you will prepare. 6, 7 body, how do you find the topics in the news? The term Levant, often heard in the news, roughly corresponds to which of the following regions? ISIL, number of times covered in the news. Asian Infrastructure, MCTR, Shanghai Cooperation, India is a member of which? Basic idea about institutions, you have questions. Is the idea clear? Economics and IR. IR is a very big gamble that the newspaper can solve. No other source apart from the newspaper can help you in IR section. Because what country relations you read, for example, Vietnam पे 7 statement पूछ ली 1 साल पहले. Now, how do you know Vietnam was so important? Just pick up the newspaper any day and find out why Vietnam is so important. Instagram बोल रहा है कि गोवा मत जाओ, Vietnam जाओ. So why do you think UPSC cannot ask a question on Vietnam? When some news, some countries so much in news, for example, right now there's a very big crisis in West Asia. If there's a very big crisis, number of people are fighting against each other. So you should have a very good idea about its geography. You should know Lebanon is sharing borders with whom. If Gaza people are evacuating, Gaza shares border with whom. Mediterranean Sea साथ में, तो you should know Mediterranean Sea की borders कौन है. So newspaper is one which is going to help you in IR. Most of the geography you'll know when the geography section will be discussed. Is the idea clear? Thank you and all the best for the exam. Don't stop reading the newspaper.
सर ऑन क्वेश्चन सर, जैसे कि हमारा एक पेज हमारी शुरू हुई थी फरवरी में, तो फेब में बेच स्टार्ट हुई थी हमारी लास्ट ईयर, तो अभी थोड़ा कई टॉपिक कवर हुए, कई कवर नहीं हुए. अभी ऐसा लग रहा है कि अभी 1.5-2 महीना चलेगा. तो हमारे प्रीलिम्स के प्रति अप्रोच किस तरीके की होनी चाहिए?
तो सारी चीज़ें करानी है, खुद भी पढ़ लोगे कुछ.
वही ऐसा लगता है कि हम 1 महीने लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के सारे सब्जेक्ट कवर कर सकते हैं, और कभी ऐसा लगता है
यू हैव टू क्लियर द एग्जाम. व्हाटएवर टेक्स यू क्लोजर टू द एग्जाम, यू डू दैट. किसी ने गारंटी तो लिख के दी नहीं पेपर पे.
यस.
सो यू नो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू टू क्लियर द एग्जाम. डोंट लाई टू योरसेल्फ, यू हैव द आंसर.
सर वो प्रेशर रहता है कि अभी क्लास में कुछ नया बताएंगे जो हमें पता ही नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ.
तो जो पता है वो कवर कर लो.
हाँ, तो वो जो कोर सब्जेक्ट हमारे खत्म हो गए
उसी से क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लो ना. नई चीज हमेशा अच्छी क्यों लगती है? क्यों लगता है कि ऐसा पता चल जाएगा कि एक क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो जाएगा?
जैसे कि सर हमारे कल्चर है, मीडिया वाले, वो सब टॉपिक बाकी हो जो फ्री का है.
दिस इज व्हाट आई सेड ना, रीड इट ऑन योर ओन.
ओके सर.
अपने पे भी तो ट्रस्ट करो ना कि जो मैं पढ़ूंगा उससे क्वेश्चन कर लूंगा. कोई बहुत अच्छी इंफॉर्मेशन है जो छूट जाएगी, जो क्वेश्चन रह जाएगा. What you are doing is you are skipping the 80, you are focusing on 20.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you and all the best. हाँ. What current affair questions?
तो मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ, कोई भी ऐसी वेबसाइट या फिर कोई रेलिवेंस हो जिससे हम और ज्यादा करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ें.
न्यूज़पेपर ओनली.
सर उससे क्वेश्चंस सारे अटेम्प्ट
विद टाइम होगा ना. सारे नहीं है तो वो सोर्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन वहीं से आ गई. आपको कहीं और जाके क्यों जाना जब वो क्वेश्चन ने आपको इंफॉर्मेशन दे दी? व्हाई डू यू वांट टू गो अहेड व्हेन द क्वेश्चन 5 क्वेश्चंस, न्यू क्वेश्चंस गिव यू न्यू इंफॉर्मेशन? दैट इज योर प्रिपरेशन. व्हाई डू यू वांट टू रीड मोर?
सर जैसे टेस्ट सीरीज चल रही हैं
5 एवरी टेस्ट, दैट मींस हाउ मेनी फैक्ट्स? हैव कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन व्हाट यू नो. डोंट थिंक कि कुछ नया है जो मुझे नहीं पता और मेरा सिलेक्शन रह जाएगा. जो चीज पता है और जो हो रही है उसी पे कंसोलिडेट करो. दिस एग्जाम इज नॉट फार.
So newspaper is enough for
enough. And those 5 things which you solved, that is your source of information.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Thank you.
Efficient planning and effective follow-through are the twin pillars of a robust exam preparation strategy. In an intensely competitive environment like the UPSC CSE, meticulous planning and a strong initial push are of paramount importance. Avail the chance to gauge the competition nationwide and strengthen your exam preparation with the Vision IAS All India GS Prelims Open Mock Test 3. The test offers key features like All India ranking to gauge your standing among aspirants nationwide, Vision IAS post-test analysis for a comprehensive understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. Complete coverage of the UPSC CSAT Prelims syllabus to ensure you are well prepared. Alignment with the UPSC exam pattern to mimic the real test environment. Available online on 25th February 2024. Attempted from anywhere and free of cost within the 2-hour test window. Welcome to the dynamic world of UPSC, where the journey unfolds across 3 critical stages: prelims, mains, and interview. Each stage demands a deep understanding of current affairs, shaping the nature of questions, from factual, analytical to opinion-based questions. As we delve deeper into the UPSC's diverse syllabus, a major hurdle aspirants face is keeping pace with the evolving nature of current affairs. This includes staying updated with changes such as policy shifts, geopolitical developments, environmental updates, and more. Such dynamism, along with an undefined syllabus and a vast array of resources, makes mastering current affairs a formidable task for UPSC aspirants. To navigate these complexities, we have introduced PT 365 to revise, analyze, and master one-year current affairs for Prelims 2024 in 60 hours. With its innovative design and structured approach, PT 365 simplifies your preparation. Our PT 365 offers comprehensive current affairs classes that stand out for their interactive classes by highly experienced Vision IAS faculty, holistic coverage of one-year current affairs for a strong foundation which includes prelims relevant topics from the Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, Budget, Sansad TV etc. from April 2023 to April 2024. Embrace the vast UPSC syllabus with PT 365's targeted and thorough approach, transforming it from a complex task into a pathway for achievement. Ready to begin? Register now at our website. For any further queries, reach out to us at these numbers or enquiry@visionias.in. We are here to assist you on your journey to success. Welcome everyone. Meet Arav, an aspiring UPSC candidate. His eyes are full of dreams, his room a reflection of his ambition with UPSC topper stories. Arav starts his journey and soon finding himself engulfed by mountains of books and endless notes as he grapples with the vast UPSC syllabus. Despite trying various revision methods, Arav's anxiety escalates each day. He feels lost in a sea of information, struggling for direction. In his moment of confusion, Arav discovers the Lakshya Prelims Mentoring Program 2024, a ray of hope in his challenging journey. He found that Lakshya program offers a strategic plan for revision and practice, which includes the entire GS and CSAT syllabus. It skillfully integrates monthly current affairs and PT 365 with the static GS syllabus for a comprehensive revision. CSAT, once a daunting task, is now approached with rigorous practice and focus, building confidence. Amazed by the personalized approach, Arav finds Lakshya's plan as per his unique needs, that is, by focusing on high-yielding areas, facilitating multiple revisions, providing effective and validated reading list for efficient preparation, and analyzing the evolving demand for UPSC prelims paper with in-depth trend analysis of previous year questions, PYQs. With Lakshya's structured plan, Arav's approach to preparation evolves. The chaos of his study room now becomes a focused learning environment. Empowered and confident, Arav is now ready to conquer the UPSC prelims. The once daunting task now appears within his reach. Interested in learning more or registering? Visit visionias.in/Lakshya or call us on these numbers. Start your successful journey with Vision IAS today.